We have no evidence at this time that the reported drone sightings pose a national security or a public safety threat, or have a foreign nexus. The Department of Homeland Security and the FBI are investigating these sightings, and they're working closely with state and local law enforcement to provide resources using numerous detection methods to better understand their origin.
They must immediately disclose more information to the public. It's totally and completely unacceptable that you have all this drone activity going on that people are seeing with their own eyes, and even if it's not all drone activity and some of it is manned aircraft, there appears to be plenty of drone activity that people are seeing with their own eyes. The fact that the federal agencies responsible for briefing the public have not come forward in a clear way is unacceptable. There has to be some explanation to the public for all this increased activity.
It was just about the size of a school bus, hovering about 150 feet over the trees. All of a sudden, the moon is starting to move to my left, and it's heading towards me. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, no, it's not the moon. Maybe it's a plane. Then suddenly, it gets closer, and it's hovering right over the trees, and it looks like, I guess, an enormous drone.
Have an invasion coming into the state of New Jersey, hundreds or thousands of them all over everybody's houses, only about 200 feet high. This is priority. It needs to be made priority. We need to find out what's going on now, and I demand answers.
You got stuff.
There's another one up here. Wow. Two more coming out from this direction. That would be to the east. What the f is that? It's a drone. It has to be a drone. There's so many of them out here.
Other one.
Why doesn't the United States government know? It seems silly. I mean, it feels a lot like the Chinese spy balloon. It was like, oh, we don't know. It's not a problem. Then we watched it go all the way across the country, and we kept hearing, you know, we're not really sure where it came from until we saw it popped and, floated down over the ocean.
That's not quite how it went. We were pretty honest with the American people that we knew it was Chinese, and we knew that where it was going to go, and we were pretty comfortable given the analysis that there wasn't going to be an intelligence threat by it, and we shot it down once it was over safe waters and wasn't going to hurt anybody. But back to this, why don't we know? I wish I could tell you exactly why we don't have an answer for you here in the afternoon on the 13th of December, but I can tell you that we are working on it very, very hard to know, because we want to answer those questions the same as those folks in New Jersey want answers to them, and we are working on this very, very hard. We are now applying. There was an interagency conversation this morning about this topic, where we have now decided to employ some additional technology to New Jersey and some additional personnel to try to get a better sense of what these things are. And as I said yesterday, Martha, as soon as we know, we're going to.
No, I hear you. This is shocking. I got to tell you, this is shocking. Okay, and I'm not the only person who feels this way. This was happening at Langley a month ago, okay? These people are not crazy. They're seeing these things with their own eyes. This is not normal behavior. They are not planes that are coming in one direction and they're heading into Newark Airport and then they're landing, okay? We spend $824 billion on defense. We have the greatest intelligent capability in the world. So how can you stand there and say to the country right now, gosh darn, we just don't know what these are?
Because I'm not going to lie to you, or to the American people. And I'm not going to say we know something when we don't. And we would never, ever stoop to think that an American citizen was crazy or nuts because of what they're seeing and what they're documenting. We're taking that imagery seriously, and we're doing the best we can to analyze it, and we encourage people to come forward if they have additional sightings and imagery. We want to do the best we can to triangulate it, but I'll be gosh darn if I'm going to stand up here and make up stuff that I don't know to be true.
We don't want you to make up anything. Do you know and you can't say? Can you tell me that?
No, I'm telling you, Martha, I'm telling you we don't.
You don't know.
We can't corroborate every single sighting. Some of them we have, not all of them, and we're working hard to do that. We know people are afraid of it. We know people have concerns. We have those same concerns.
Yeah, because they're flying over your house, and it sounds like there are motorcycles landing on your roof. Let me ask you this: one, person who watched this online said they think it's a Pterodynamics Transwing Drone XP4, which is being developed by the U.S. Navy as a recon and logistics drone capable of picking up and dropping off packages between land and moving ships in high seas and winds. They're suggesting it's an American company. We asked the company. They said we can't speculate on the origin of the drones that are flying over New Jersey. So is that an avenue that has been inspected? Is this a private company that is practicing something? And wouldn't they have to clear something with somebody to have this kind of activity?
It could very well be, as I said, these could be commercially developed drones of some kind.
Why not just take one down and figure out what's going on?
Well, the idea of taking something down, again, you want to worry about public safety. First of all, we don't have enough conclusions to take that kind of a policy action. But let's just assume for a minute, Martha, that we did. I mean, you're not going to want to shoot something down where it could hit somebody's house or hurt somebody.
Well, the Coast Guard says that there are 30 of them following one of their ships in the ocean. So would that work?
I mean, again, we have to develop the policy options based on what we know we're dealing with here, and we just don't know enough to make those to take those kinds of actions. But my goodness, we're going to do everything we can to find out, and we're going to share as much as we can. I understand it's frustrating for folks.
Yeah.
It's frustrating for us. We want to know as well.
What does President Biden say about it?
He also has tasked the team to look into this and to be energetic in doing it to try to get answers. He saw some of these images yesterday. He has talked to his team, including his top leaders, including at the Defense Department.
Have you called in like AI experts or said like, why don't we ask Elon Musk what he thinks, or brought in outside experts?
We're working really hard right now inside in the interagency, and certainly supporting the FBI and DHS as they investigate this. And if we need to have additional conversations with people outside the lifelines, we certainly will do that. But I want to make sure I don't get ahead of the investigators and what they're doing.
It just seems weird. I mean, people, they're low. They fly fairly low, some of these. It just, I think, is amazing that the White House has no idea what's going on. I think that makes people feel really unsettled. In New Jersey, they sent out an intelligence bulletin, I should say, issued in December of 2024 with recommendations for encountering downed UAVs. And it says a downed or landed drone should not be approached. It says request hazardous materials response unit or local hazmat team. And then it says request the nearest bomb squad. Do you agree with those recommendations if one of these things comes into someone's house or lands in their yard, or they have to deal with it?
Yeah, look, I haven't seen that directive, but all that makes perfect sense to me as a former military person. If something like an aircraft of any kind lands in your backyard or close to you or your family, call the authorities. Don't approach it. You don't know what it is, and you don't know what kind of fuel might be on board. You absolutely should just call the authorities. Make sure you report it. Don't go near it. Don't touch it. You don't want to get hurt.
Okay.
I've just received information in the last few minutes about the PSEG nuclear site at Salem, which is the Hope Creek Generating Station on a 740-acre site in Salem County, New Jersey. And a person who is privileged enough to have access to the internal messaging about that nuclear station has told me that they tried to deploy an anti-drone technology over multiple drones that were seen over the nuclear site, and that anti-drone technology, which normally works on all drones, completely failed. Moreover, these objects, whatever they are being seen not just on the East Coast, they are being seen all over the world. I'm getting reports from here in Australia, from Japan, Indonesia, China, Russia, Europe.
Here at home of the drones.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you. Good to see you. can you comment on the drones that are flying around New Jersey ports? It seems like the American people have a big disconnect.
The government knows what is happening. Look, our military knows where they took off from. If it's a garage, they can go right into that garage. They know where it came from and where it went. And for some reason, they don't want to comment. And I think they'd be better off saying what it is. Our military knows and our president knows. And for some reason, they want to keep people in suspense. I can't imagine it's the enemy, because if it was the enemy, they'd blast it out. Even if they were late, they'd blast it. Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people, and they should, because the people are really, I mean, they happen to be over Bedminster. They're very close to Bedminster. I think maybe I won't spend the weekend in Bedminster. I've decided to cancel my trip.
Have you received an intelligence briefing on the drones?
I don't want to comment on that.
Have you been?
Do you have any reason to think they're a threat?
Two quick
drone sightings. So last night I was on the beach in Island State Park in Ocean County with the sheriff. He has been working it every single night. He's got his own tethered drones chronicling. One of his officers 2 nights ago saw 50 drones come in off the ocean right there. So we thought maybe they'll replicate it. They didn't, but we thought it was a possibility. Last night we had a number of other people there, including a commanding officer from the Coast Guard, who said that one of their 47-foot motor lifeboats was followed by between 12 and 30 of these drones as they went through the water, followed right behind them. You know, and I said, what's the rules of engagement? I mean, you do it if you're fighting against a narco trafficker or something. And they said, we don't know, we don't have any. So I did reach out to the commanding officer at the Joint Base, which is also in my district, and talked to him. Had a very good conversation. Colonel Anthony Smith, Joint Base Fort Dix McGuire, the 87th Air Wing, Air Base Wing today. And I said, I know you have the capability. You've put out press releases to identify and bring down drones. Why can't you deploy them at least to the ocean? Bring one of these down, find out who's doing it. They have the capability. He said, we don't have the authority, only within the parameters of our base. Well, there's a national interest here. Our jets fly over the ocean all the time for training, so that perimeter is larger. So I did write Secretary Lloyd Austin asking that capability that may be sitting in a closet somewhere. I know they use it all the time, but bring it out. And I'm not saying you got to share it with the sheriffs. It'd be nice. Just do it yourself in the interest of the American public. So I would ask if you would echo that request. I mean, DOD's got the capability, and maybe Homeland Security does as well. When we had a Zoom meeting with Secretary Mayorkas, our governor put it together, and I appreciated that. But I asked them, why can't we just track where they go to? Seemingly they're going out to sea, to something, a ship. We don't know for sure, but they come in off from the ocean. So the question really is, can't we just get DOD to share? In my first term, DOD and VA did a great thing. The DOD-VA sharing agreement for healthcare capabilities. It was fantastic. Why can't the DOD share this with Homeland Security, with FBI and others, so that you can go out and find out who they are?
All right, so you're here today. You were just inside. You walked out. Why?
I walked out because it was worthless. It was the biggest amateur hour presentation I've ever seen about anything. Okay, it was ridiculous. There were no answers. Every question that was asked by a member of the state legislature, great questions, no answers, no resolution. They don't know where the drones are coming from. They don't know who's doing it. They don't know why they're doing it. But they say there's no credible threat. It was annoying to be there. I drove 2 hours to be here today. Spent an hour in there. I got to drive 2 hours back. The biggest waste of 5 hours in my entire life.
So why do you think they called this meeting?
No idea. Why would you call a meeting to tell people you don't know anything? I have no idea. And then when the legislators would ask questions, there were no answers. Here's the most frustrating part. The colonel of the state police said that he had a helicopter of his flying above one of these drones, a 6-foot drone or something. I can't remember exactly what he said. And he felt unsafe for his helicopter, so he just let it go. Just let it go. Where'd it go? Who knows? Didn't want to follow it because he didn't feel safe. Is that not the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard? I mean, honestly.
Do they have any idea where these drones are originating?
No, they don't. They would. Maybe if they followed that sucker to when it landed, they would know, but they don't. This is This is a complete lack of effort, in my opinion, on trying to figure this out. This is not about ability. We have the technology, we have the people, we have the training, we have the resources, we have the money. It's just a lack of effort. I mean,
Why?
I don't know. They should be saying, you know what they should have done today with productive use of our time if they didn't know anything? Come in there and say, hey, legislators, we don't know anything. But if you get us these 10 things, do these 10 things for us, and the governor calls in this kind of action, we can figure it out. Will you help us? And then we would have helped them. But instead it was just excuse after excuse and we know nothing. It was infuriating, and I got up and I walked out.
You've been in the service, right?
Yeah, I was an attack helicopter pilot, Apache helicopter pilot in the Army, and I helped stand up the initial unmanned aircraft training battalion in the aviation sector of the Army. So I know a little bit about what I'm talking about, and these guys are not doing the job they need to do to figure out what's going on, and that is the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, and the state police.
And they're saying no threat to Americans.
They're saying no threat, but how the hell do they know? They don't know anything. They don't know what it is. They don't know where it come from. They don't know nothing. When I walked in here today, I was actually pretty calm. I was excited to be here to find out a couple things. I thought they'd be like, hey, listen, it's FedEx trying to figure out. But instead, I got the most ridiculous amateur hour briefing I've ever sat through.
Wow, that's truly upsetting.
L'11 dicembre 2024, il deputato del New Jersey Jeff Van Drew ha dichiarato che i misteriosi droni avvistati nello stato potrebbero provenire dall'Iran e essere lanciati da una nave madre situata a largo della costa orientale degli Stati Uniti. Durante un'intervista a Fox News, Van Drew ha affermato che le informazioni gli sono state fornite da fonti riservate, aggiungendo che questi droni dovrebbero essere abbattuti e confermando che le forze armate sono in stato di massima allerta. Tuttavia, non ha rivelato l'origine precisa delle sue informazioni. Gli avvistamenti di droni, che mostrano luci lampeggianti e manovre sofisticate, sono aumentati nelle ultime settimane, con 49 segnalazioni solo domenica scorsa, principalmente nel New Jersey. A volte i droni sono stati avvistati mentre volavano in formazione e sono stati segnalati anche in alcune aree di New York. La tecnologia impiegata sembra essere avanzata, poiché il governatore del New Jersey Phil Murphy ha spiegato che ogni volta che i funzionari tentano di seguirli, i droni si oscurano. Le ipotesi sull'origine spaziano da operazioni di spionaggio straniere a progetti segreti del governo statunitense, fino a speculazioni su possibili visite extraterrestri. In risposta alle affermazioni di Van Drew, il Pentagono ha smentito categoricamente l'ipotesi di una nave madre iraniana. La portavoce del Pentagono, Sabrina Singh, ha dichiarato: non c'è alcuna nave iraniana o nave madre che lancia droni verso gli Stati Uniti. Singh ha inoltre precisato che non ci sono prove che le attività dei droni nel New Jersey siano riconducibili a entità straniere o avversarie. Nonostante le rassicurazioni delle autorità, le indagini sull'origine dei droni continuano, lasciando molte domande senza risposta. L'FBI, che sta conducendo le indagini, ha ammesso di non avere ancora una chiara comprensione di cosa siano i droni o di come fermarli. E voi, cosa pensate di questi misteriosi avvistamenti? Potrebbe esserci una spiegazione più sorprendente di quella ufficiale? Scrivetemi nei commenti, sono curioso di sapere la vostra. Lasciate un like e iscrivetevi al canale per non perdere i prossimi contenuti. Un saluto!
The Director of National Intelligence just a few days ago released a new report on 144 sightings of what they call unidentified aerial phenomena. Virtually all of them remain unexplained. Whatever these are, they appear to not only be technology that the United States does not have, but technology that we cannot even explain. I know a lot of people joke about this, but you're a national security hawk. How concerned are you about these objects, and where do you think they come from?
Well, I don't believe they're coming from foreign adversaries. If they were, why, that would suggest that they have a technology which is in a whole different sphere than anything we understand. And frankly, China and Russia just aren't there. And either are we, by the way. So I'm not worried about it from a national security standpoint. If for some reason these came from another system, if you will, another alien society, which I frankly would find hard to believe, but I guess all things are possible, that would be fascinating. Interesting. I know there are, they say, trillions of galaxies out there, so who knows what might have developed somewhere else. But that would make me more fascinated, not fearful. And I guess I also think that we have a lot more significant challenges ahead of us right here and now than worrying about those things. The emergence of China as the dominant player in the world, that gives me concern. The warming of our planet, that gives me concern. The amount of debt we're taking out as a nation, that gives me a concern. So I'd focus on those things and infrastructure before I'd give a lot of attention to unidentified flying object.
You're telling me we don't know what the hell these drones are in New Jersey are? Is that correct?
That's right.
It's crazy. I mean, that's crazy. That's madness that we don't know what these drones are.
Sir, the FBI and our Newark field office, along with the state and local partners there, the Bureau is actively investigating the situation you mentioned, just the unexplained sighting of drone activity over that part of New Jersey. We do not attribute that to an individual or a group yet. We're investigating, but I don't have an answer of who's responsible for that, of one or more people that are responsible for those drone flights. But we're actively investigating. It is concerning.
Is the public at risk? Is public safety at risk? Are we concerned that there are nefarious intentions that could cause either national security or a public safety incident that would put Americans at risk?
There's nothing that is known that would lead me to say that, but we just don't know, and that's the concerning part.
Rachel Campos-Duffy captured this video of drones. This is in her own backyard, and she joins us now. Rachel, y'all been seeing these. You were saying prayers with your kids, and they look out the window?
I saw it out the window, but that footage was actually captured while I was at the Patriot Awards, and my kids were home, and they saw it, they ran outside, and they captured that video.
So it's been more than once you've seen
Oh, multiple times. This is all everyone is talking about. If you live in Morristown, Mendham, Summit, Bedminster, that whole Far Hills, that whole area, that's all you talk about. Go to the neighborhood, apps, where you put in if you lost your dog or your cat. They're all about drone sightings now, and so I think what you're seeing is, first of all, no answers. Whatever the governor put out was a non-answer. Didn't make me feel any better. And I just think we're in this era. You remember when I had my interview with Donald Trump at Bedminster? I'm like, will you declassify JFK? Will you declassify Epstein? Will you declassify the 9/11? And he was like, yes. I think we're in this era where people want more transparency from government, and they are so tired of the lies being told to them by the government. And I think that's what you're seeing right here. People are outraged. 3 weeks. No answer.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. When we were interviewing those mayors, that's what they said. They're not satisfied with just being told, well, you're safe, everything's fine. We want to know why, who's manning these, where are they from? Are they from another country? Because they told us the spy balloon is going through, and they allowed it to travel throughout our whole country before they actually took it down.
And then we found out they knew it was traveling over the country, that a Chinese spy balloon was going over our country, and Joe Biden's government was okay with it. Yeah. Now, another interesting little tidbit before we move on to the second topic, Ainsley, is people think I know something because Sean is up for the transportation secretary. I'm I don't know anything. I have no idea what's going on. I'm just as curious as everybody else, and I don't feel good. They're flying low. I mean, they're not up high like an airplane. They're flying low. You can see them, and they're large. They're huge. These are not hobby drones.
Question for Mr. Coulthart. What is your take on why the NHI do not just reveal themselves? Do you agree with the idea that there is an agreement for delayed or complete non-disclosure? Because if true, I would find that to be somewhat confusing behaviour on behalf of the NHI. I also think that if they were waiting for us to be ready, that maybe we wouldn't be seeing them in our skies, or maybe at all. Thanks for the work you do, and hoping to hear your thoughts. Okay, Mr. Dark. I think there's a really interesting explanation that I'm beginning to hypothesise. This is only a speculative hypothesis on my part, but it is based on work that I am doing that is increasingly focusing on what I believe is a consciousness connection to the UAP phenomenon. I do think that there is a link between what we call psychic phenomena, telepathy, or psionics, as is the more neutral term that's used by the military and the defence community. I do believe that there is a connection between human psionic abilities, telepathic, psychic abilities, and consciousness, and that the UAP phenomenon is tied into that. And I suspect this is one of the largest reasons for why this is being kept secret, and for why the NHI are not overtly showing themselves. And my growing hypothesis, it's just a hypothesis, because there's a few things I can't tell you right now that I'm going to be reporting on in coming weeks, and I'm very excited to be bringing you that story. But I do know that the Air Force has been working on psionics for many, many decades. They never stopped investigating the power of the human mind and consciousness ever since the Stargate program and the remote viewing program. I know it's been poo-pooed. I know there's a George Clooney movie based on John Ronson's book called The Men Who Stare at Goats, and I know all the supposed debunkers say it's BS. But I can tell you, it's not BS. I've seen it for myself, and it's real. And in forthcoming weeks, you will see why I say it's real. And I believe the United States Air Force has knowingly deceived Congress, successive presidents, and the American public, and the world about what it knows for far too long. It's time for this story to be told. Now, coming back to the question from Mr. Dark, I think the NHI are showing themselves in our skies to twig our consciousness, to make us humans aware of capabilities that many of us don't even realise we have. And I've seen those capabilities demonstrated in recent months. I know they're real, and I frankly don't give a flying fig what the debunkers or the skeptics or the trolls would say about that. It's real, and they will soon be eating humble pie. The capacity for the human mind to engage externally with some kind of uber consciousness has been speculated about in science. Go and have a look at the work on microtubules. Let's have a look at what modern science is speculating about a quantum connection between the human brain and an external consciousness. That's where we're going in this. So what if UAPs are merely a manifestation of something that is above and around us, a consciousness? Some might call it God. Yeah, I know, this is heavy stuff. But what if the purpose of its engagement with the human race is to slowly twig our awareness and to encourage us to use abilities that we don't even know we have? I'm very interested in hearing from people who were part of the GATE program 20 to 30 years ago, who found themselves in rooms with US Air Force officers and strange psychologists in white lab coats, showing them on occasion strange, apparently non-human objects. Yes, this has been happening. Young prepubertal have been in experimentation by our military in experiments designed to develop an understanding of how to engage with the phenomenon, with a consciousness. And I think at the same time that NHI consciousness is trying to engage with humanity individually. I've spoken to so many people. I had a message this morning from one person who's an very senior US Air Force person working in a very sensitive area, who told me that they had psychic abilities and they'd never spoken about it, but when they told me about their sighting of a gigantic craft, I said to them, by any chance, do you have psychic abilities? Have you ever had an intuition or a precognition? And they said they were very moved by my question because they'd never really spoken about it, but yes, they have. And everybody I talk to tells me about intuition, precognition, some kind of second sight, some kind of insight that gives them an ability to understand or engage with things in a way that humans can't quite understand. And I think that's what lies behind our understanding, or our growing understanding of the phenomenon. I think that if these are craft, if they are craft at all, they are a manifestation of a consciousness that is trying to engage with humanity. And I think, interestingly enough, the evidence that I am acquiring suggests that these craft can only be operated by people with those psionic abilities. Watch this space. More to come on this. Now, the other question from Mr. Dark was, are there agreements? And are those agreements perhaps constraining why and what we can be told? Now, that's a good question. As you know, if you were a watcher of the interview I did with David Grush back in June 2023, David Grush, to a very limited extent, referred into what he was allowed to reveal through his DOPSA, his Defence Office Pre-Publication Security Review. He referred to unspecified agreements. Now, I've been investigating that, and I do believe it's possible, plausible, I haven't confirmed it, that sections of the US military concluded agreements with a non-human intelligence. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if there was an agreement of non-disclosure, perhaps some kind of Star Trek-like prime directive where the NHI didn't want humanity informed. Wouldn't be surprised at all if that was the case. I haven't had it explicitly said to me, but I have had multiple sources refer to agreements. Okay, so let's just examine that. Firstly, if such an agreement was made, how could it possibly be legal? How could the whole planet be bound by an agreement that a bunch of jumped-up, hubristic, arrogant men in the 1950s or the 1940s concluded with a non-human intelligence? Why would they have any right to make a decision on humanity's behalf? And moreover, if the Congress and certain presidents were not properly informed, as I am confident they were not, in complete breach of Article 1 of the US Constitution, then those officers of the US Air Force are in serious breach of their oath to the US Constitution, which is an act of treason. Treason. That's what we're talking about here. So if these people are aware that people like myself and others are on their tail, and that disclosure is imminent, that Congress is now getting close, if I was you guys, I would be thinking very seriously about coming forward, because you are going to face treason charges if your government doesn't decide to exonerate you or put you before a Truth and Reconciliation Commission where you are given immunity in return for telling the truth. You face the very grave probability of criminal charges. And yes, I do think there are people who should be going to jail as a result of what I've learned about the legacy program. Experimentation on intimidation, threats. Not a good look, guys.
Mysterious drone sightings now in 12 New Jersey counties, and it's still unclear where they're coming from. Meanwhile, Governor Phil Murphy responds for the first time in a X post saying, quote, "There is no known threat to the public at this time." Do other state Jersey officials agree? Well, here with reaction is New Jersey gubernatorial candidate and 101.5 talk radio host Bill Spadea. Bill, it's so great to have you on this morning. So no one has a better pulse on New Jersey than you and, talk radio. So what are your listeners saying to you, and what do you think about this?
Thanks, Rachel. We've got the largest audience in the state, and I have to say that I've got to give credit to my friend Mark Taylor, who is the mayor of Florham Park in Morris County, because back on the 16th, 17th, 18th of November, a few weeks ago, he called the show and he said, "Bill, there are drones over my house." And last night there was a Black Hawk helicopter that was sitting in front of them. He said, "I have no idea what's going on, but I've called the FAA. I'm calling the state police." And here we are weeks later, and it's increasing. They're everywhere. And, according to reports, I literally have done my entire show in the last week and a half has been on this drone issue, because callers from all over the state are calling in to say some of these drones are the size of cars. And what it occurred to me that when the state police and the FBI are asking for our help, how do they not know what's happening? So a lot of people believe that state officials may in fact know a lot more than they're telling us.
Well, yeah, and by the way, I'm one of those people. I saw it outside of my house twice. My kids recorded it. They were freaking out. They are big, and they fly kind of low. And it's really disconcerting that our governor can't tell us what's going on, that, and then they said, call the sheriff, and then the sheriff says, call the FBI, and then the FBI is saying, give us more information. And remember, Bill, we had a balloon that flew, a Chinese balloon that flew over our country, and not only did our government lie about it, but they did nothing about it. So do you think that these are foreign, that this is a foreign country? Is this Google, with their drone package testing something? What is it?
I think if it was something as simple as Google or Amazon, something like that, it would have been very easy to put out a statement and say, hey guys, don't mind the drones, we're not under attack. What really bothered many people, certainly in my audience, is when we called out the governor earlier this week, he did not make a statement until after thousands of our listeners flooded the State House with calls saying, Governor, what is going on? What did you know? When did you know it? Why are you not saying anything? It's strange to me, though, if you think about the size of these drones, it's not like they can stay airborne forever. They've got to land somewhere. Chances are they're landing somewhere locally. Why is it only happening at night? Why is it happening on and around our military bases, both the Joint Base in Monmouth, Picatinny Arsenal in North Jersey? So there are a lot of questions, and it leads many of us to believe that they do know. But I think the simplest explanation is that this is some kind of a military test. I just wish they would come out and say, here's what we're doing. And I have said, when I'm elected governor, we're not going to have this secrecy coming from the State House. We're going to have total transparency because it's clear someone knows what's happening. We just aren't being told.
Well, Bill, they're also flying over Trump Bedminster, which has a lot of people concerned as well.
Sure.
And I agree, we need more transparency. We ought to know what's flying over our house. By the way, there was a guy in Florida who once shot down a drone. He didn't know it was illegal to do so. He got in a lot of trouble. So people feel like this is right over my house. It was right in front of my window. I know I don't own the airspace, but it's disconcerting when it's so close to your home and your children. And we ought to get answers. Bill, thank you so much for joining us this morning. If there are any updates, you got to let us know. We want to get to the bottom of this story.
I will certainly let you know. We'll be on this starting tomorrow again.
Thank you, Bill. Take care.
Thanks.
It did not come up. We talked about it, several different UAPs that have been in the press or leaked. Most of those have been explained, and they explained how they came to that conclusion. But there are ones that we discussed that are unexplained. And they have a plan, they say, to disclose and declassify how they came to that conclusion and why there's still objects that are unanswered.
You mentioned the shapes. What is it about the shapes of these drones?
There are certain shapes that are unexplained, that are in the air. I'm in a classified setting, so I will let Arrow, I don't want to cross over and disclose classified information, but there are certain shapes consistently that are unexplained, which is fascinating.
This is a video of the Morris County drones with characteristic triangle lights on the back or underneath.
Oh my God, here we go. Here it is. Are you freaking kidding me right now? What is that? We shouldn't be outside for this.
Today is November 25th, 2024. I can see 3 drones just in this view there because they are coming right this way. This is taken from across the street of Black River Middle School in Chester, New Jersey.
So residents in Morris County tell me this has been happening every single night with the exception of Thanksgiving over the past few weeks. One family claims they followed a drone in their car, and while it hovered above them, the clock in their car changed times. Then they say the clock went back to normal after they drove off. Witnesses also talk about the size of these drones. Some say they can be as big as a small car. Despite the growing concern, though, Morris County officials insist, quote, there continues to be no known threat to public safety. But residents tell Fox they're becoming more worried. The FAA is continuing to temporarily restrict flights over Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster and the Picatinny Arsenal military base. But authorities in Morris County this morning say they have no new information to share as the mystery continues.
FBI is now getting involved in an investigation into these mysterious, apparently small car-sized drones that people are spotting flying over New Jersey in the middle of the night. Look at this. One woman there took the video you're seeing. So that's it. It looks like it's flying pretty low. And from that perspective, it looks very large, right? And all those lights in the sky that you see there, see those lights? Those are apparently drones as well, they say, seeming to fly in a V formation, with the whole saga stressing people out nearby.
Hey, Ernie and Candace, the FAA has placed a temporary restriction on drone flights over Picatinny Arsenal and over Trump National Golf Course in Bedminster. When these drones were first spotted 2 weeks ago, the Morris County Prosecutor's Office said that they posed no known threat to public safety. But people want to know, what the heck are they and what are they doing?
It's normal to see red and green lights in December, unless they're coming from mysterious drones in the night sky.
It's kind of unsettling. They're not up for 15 minutes, they're up for hours. Some are very big, probably the size of a car.
Mike Walsh says he's seen hundreds of them over the past 2 weeks from his Randolph backyard and has the video to prove it.
They kind of go slow, they come towards you, then they'll change direction a little. They're all going different ways.
The drones have been spotted all over Morris County. Morristown police sent an alert to residents Sunday saying they are aware of drone activity and that if a drone crashes or lands, do not approach or handle it. The FBI's Newark field office would only say it is working with other law enforcement agencies to figure out what's going on, but at the moment doesn't have enough information to share.
A lot of people want to know what's going on. I think more people are coming around to that, oh, this is going on and maybe it's not good.
Nancy Reed didn't want to show her face on camera, but says she's seen the drones every night since November 18th.
I can see them right out my bedroom window. I can watch them. Last night was about 5:30, so it was earlier. But it's normally anywhere between like 7:30 and 10:30, they're out here. Never during the day. Nobody ever sees them during the day.
One thing she hasn't seen is the normal air traffic she's used to, and she doesn't understand why.
We're in the fly pattern going to like Morristown Airport and Newark, and we used to see a lot of planes coming back and forth. You don't see them anymore.
Now, we also reached out to Picatinny Arsenal because of reports that the drones were flying over the military base. So far, we have not heard back. Reporting live in Randolph, New Jersey, I'm Katie Corrado, Pix 11 News.
Throughout his tenure, Secretary Austin has prioritized the development and rapid fielding of capabilities to counter the urgent and growing threat posed by unmanned systems. This week, the Secretary signed a classified strategy for countering unmanned systems to unify the department's approach to countering these systems that looks across domains, characteristics, and time frames. Unmanned systems, more commonly known as drones, have the potential to pose both an urgent and enduring threat to U.S. personnel, facilities, and assets overseas, and increasingly in the U.S. homeland. As you know, the threats presented by these systems are changing how wars are fought. With this singular strategy for countering unmanned systems in conjunction with other major DoD initiatives like the Joint Counter Small UAS Office and Replicator 2, the DoD is orienting around a common understanding of the challenge and a comprehensive approach to addressing it.
So I remember talking to a physicist who is, deeply involved with the program, meaning he actually knows a lot about him. He has top security clearances. And I said, so they're moving really fast and they're doing it in a way that they don't have an onboard fusion reactor. He said, well, we can't find their energy source. I said, so they're cheating somehow. I said, yeah, you can call it that. Somehow they're accessing levels of energy that are sufficient for them to make this move without exploding the sun every second. So I think one of the things that humanity is good at is, and that anybody in the intelligence field or frankly any field, commercialization, knows is that once you know something can be done, then it's a race to doing it yourself. If it can never be done, then
you give up.
You give up. But if you know it can be done, maybe that's all the incentive you need.
Following up on Jen's questions, can you say on the record yet what the intent of any of these drones were? Is it to collect data or signals? Are they conducting surveillance?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to drone on here, but the bottom line is, again, still assessing what these are, and, you know, just don't have anything further to pass along. I'd refer to U.S. Air Forces in Europe, which I'm sure you're in contact with, just to keep in touch on the latest on that.
Can you share anything yet about how you guys are detecting or countering them?
Again, I don't want to get into the specifics in terms of tactics, techniques, and procedures as it relates to force protection. Certainly, we have a variety of means at our disposal, and we will protect our personnel and our facilities. But, you know, again, just to kind of put this into context, you know, even here in the United States, right, if there are drones that are being flown by hobbyists or some other entity, you want to make sure that you're doing due diligence not only to protect yourself and the safety of others, but also using appropriate measures in order to not inadvertently create second and third order effects. In other words, potentially harming the civilian communities in which we operate in and around. So again, right now the assessment is that these drones have had no operational impact or safety impact on our personnel at any of these facilities. We're keeping a close eye on them. We're of course communicating very regularly with the UK host nation authorities, and we'll take appropriate measures again to protect our personnel and our people.
The white thing? Is that the white thing? No way, that's an alien. That's an alien, right? Daddy? Is that alien?
Over here, in front of us. Look at all those fucking, what the fuck? What the fuck? Babe. Is that a saucer?
Baby, I'm recording it all.
There's no way that's a fucking... I'm gonna call my brother. That shit is huge.
Yeah, it is. What's really long?
Bro, come outside. There's a fucking saucer outside, bro. Alien. Come outside right now, bro.
Pick him up in the truck.
Come all the way to the stop sign. All the way to the stop sign. Oh, bro, you gotta come. I'm right here, right? It's literally right in fucking front of us. There's a red light, and then there's a big bright light.
They're absorbing around it. I know, Ala.
Bro, I'm telling you, that shit. There was a shit ton of fucking lights right now lit up. It's just fucking hovering there.
The light did on it, dog.
There's no fucking way, bro.
I'm not scared, but that's crazy though.
It's just there, bro.
What is it, Daddy?
It's getting brighter.
Hold on, yeah. I don't see it though.
You guys don't see what I see on my camera because it's so zoomed.
Bro, you still on the phone? Oh shit, they came back. Look at, bro, they're coming back. The lights are coming back.
There's three. There's three aliens.
In front of me, bro, right in front of us. Look. Oh, the other light's turning on. Oh, there's the other lights. What the fuck?
Oh, it's okay.
It's gone. No, it's still there. It's still there.
It's hiding in the clouds. I'm zooming in.
That's what my brother said. In the clouds. In the clouds.
Yes, I'm zooming in, babe. I can see the saucers in my zoom.
I know I can see it.
You can see it, Zaid,
I
huh?
can barely see it. That's so crazy, bro. That's cool.
Bro, oh no, look to your left, look to your left. There's another one to the left. Over here in the fucking trees. What the fuck, bro? What the fuck? There's no fucking there, bro. Over here, bro. Oh my god, bro.
Baby, don't move. I'm outside the truck. Don't move. There's a shit ton. Oh my god. My heart's pounding. Don't move, please. Bro. Those are cars on the mountain. What we were seeing was in the sky, not the mountain. And these are the mountains that we were facing. So y'all tripping, not me. There's no way off-road vehicles are on the very top of that mountain.
And there are more questions than answers into mysterious drones spotted over U.S. military bases in England over the past several days. The U.S. Air Force says the drones have not impacted the bases or their residents, but it hasn't ruled out if they were sent by agitators. Let's get right to our News Nation special correspondent, Ross Coulthard. Ross, anytime we hear about something flying in a restricted space, it causes concern. Several drones spotted over 3 different military bases over several days. You posted on social media about those sightings. What can you tell us about what you've learned?
Well, Nick, the interesting thing about this whole saga is how little the Air Force has been able to tell us about what they're seeing, because there have been at least 5 nights, possibly 6 nights, of unexplained incursions by what the Air Force describes as drones over 3 of the most sensitive US bases, or British bases where the US Air Force is based, in the United Kingdom. That's Mildenhall, Lakenheath and Feltwell. And what distinguishes all of those bases is that it's very likely all of them have nuclear weapons. So this is a very grave situation. Unexplained incursions by unexplained drones, multiple drones, dozens in some cases, and there has not been any attempt, as far as I can see, to successfully bring down one of these objects so that we can be told what they are and where they come from. And when the Pentagon was asked about this, Major General Pat Ryder, the Pentagon's press spokesman, he basically said that all he could tell us is that they are being actively monitored. He couldn't answer a question as to whether they were from a foreign adversary, and he couldn't answer the question as to whether or not they were of hostile intent.
Ross, now the U.S. Air Force did confirm that the sightings were unmanned aerial systems or drones. Do you believe that they are drones?
We've got to be skeptical about this because we've seen no evidence of this to date, Nick. And as you would know on our show Reality Check, for some time we've been reporting on similar sightings of so-called drones over places like Langley Air Force Base in Virginia, the Plant 42 at Palmdale in California, and also the Picatinny Arsenal in New Jersey. That happened in, I think, 18th of November, just before these latest incidents. Now we've got these incidents over the 3 Air Force bases in the United Kingdom. And in none of these cases have any of these devices, these alleged drones, been recovered. So I think we're entitled to be skeptical, and the public's allowed to ask questions. Why can't the Pentagon answer a very basic question? Why do they say these are drones, and where are they coming from? And can we be assured that they are not a threat?
And speaking on the not a threat, so far, Ross, help me here, none of them have appeared to be hostile, but that still doesn't necessarily give everyone great comfort.
Well, we deployed, if you remember, Nick, in February last year, we deployed F-22 fighters to shoot down what we were told were balloons flying over the continental USA. It's a very interesting situation that we know that fighter jets have been scrambled from some of these bases in the United Kingdom. They've been flying without transponders, so we haven't been able to track them to see where they're going and where they're maneuvering. But there has been an air tanker refueling them, and they've been operating on afterburners. So it's quite clear that the military is taking this extremely seriously, and the British government has also brought in military assistance of its own to help the US Air Force deal with finding out any more that we can about these objects. At the moment, I think all we can legitimately say is they're objects and they're unexplained.
And they're unexplained. And Ross, this isn't the first time, because I do want to touch on this before I let you go. We had drones flying over Langley back in 2023, and we never determined exactly what was happening. Do you believe that these drones could be from foreign adversaries?
They could potentially be from foreign adversaries, but as you would know, we were the first to report on News Nation those Langley drones, so-called, and we have queried and questioned the reasons why they use drone terminology. I think at best what they are unexplained aerial vehicles of some kind. That's the best we can put it, and I think the public are entitled to expect an explanation.
And I know that, Ross, you'll keep pushing for an explanation as well. Ross Coulthard, thank you so much, sir.
So has the government been running a secret program on aliens for years? That's what Congress was asking yesterday. And of course, since Roswell, 1947, the world has been fascinated with UFOs. Let's bring in now UFOologist Dr. Stephen Greer. He is the founder of the Disclosed Project, the Center of the Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence, world-renowned, probably one of the most important experts on this topic. Dr. Greer, it's great to see you.
Good to see you again.
We hear UAP, not UFO. So we heard that in the hearing. What was the most significant piece of yesterday's hearing that viewers need to learn today?
Well, I think the main thing is that this is a process that we began in the 1990s when I first briefed the CIA director for Bill Clinton. And it was at that time we concluded exactly what the clip you just showed, and that is there were unacknowledged and illegal projects running UFO-related research that go back to the 50s that have escaped congressional as well as presidential oversight. I have provided briefing documents to every president since Mr. Clinton, and we are preparing one for the incoming president now. This is a huge constitutional crisis that nobody is really talking about.
I want to get to that because you have so much data that you've gotten and you want to share it. This incoming president, will he be cleared to release it to the public? I mean, obviously you've been fighting for this for a long time as part of your mission on transparency. And why wouldn't he get the briefings on this?
Well, I don't think that let's call it, some people call it the deep state. We don't call it that. It's sort of a permanent bureaucracy that has been working this issue. They are running illegally. We can prove this. And I now have 760 whistleblowers. So the ones that you saw yesterday were none of those were the firsthand direct ones. We are advocating for subpoena power by congressional committees, as well as a group within the White House to bring these whistleblowers in and get to the bottom of it. If you go to our archive, it's open to the public now. It's the Disclosure Project Intelligence Archive, dpiarchive.com. Anyone can see the first of 115 whistleblowers' testimony, name, rank, and serial number there, as well as the summary, although their names are masked, of another over 600 top secret whistleblowers. Now, what we're pivoting to, which is very important, is that we're sort of moving beyond the whistleblower phase, and we're advocating for a group that are now defecting from these covert black sites, who will hand over to us the dispositive evidence and proof, which we will then provide to you, Bianca, and the media. This is a very bold step. Yep, well, this is a very bold step. This is something that's just happened. We have a special access project within law enforcement working with us, as well as a group of people who are at 6 different black sites running programs, including reverse engineering ET craft and the man-made ones.
I want you to come back and discuss this, and I think Americans
sure
are
will.
ready. The world is ready. They want this information out, and Dr. Greer, if anyone can do it, you
Thank
can.
you.
Thank you so much
Thank
for being
you.
with us.
All right. God bless. We'll talk to you later.